At Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, amidst the chaotic crowd and cold neon lights, John Carver and his loyal German shepherd Rex begin what seems like a routine night shift. But in the frenzy of the security checkpoint, a sharp bark will ignite a thrilling journey where steadfast determination confronts the darkness of crime. A young girl with lifeless eyes, a mysterious man, and a covert tracking chip will unravel the secrets of a ruthless criminal network. Are you ready to dive into this gripping investigation? Before we start, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment sharing where you're tuning in from. We'd love to know which corner of the world you're joining us from. Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, Atlanta, Georgia, on an April evening in 2025, buzzes with chaotic energy. Cold white neon lights illuminate the security checkpoint, reflecting off the glossy marble floor. The loudspeaker announcing flights blends with the hurried footsteps, the rolling of suitcases, and the rushed conversations of passengers. The acrid smell of burnt coffee from a nearby Starbucks mingles with expensive perfume and the sweat of those in a hurry. This is the epicenter of movement, where time never pauses, but also where secrets can easily hide within the crowd. John Carver, 38, stands quietly beside the X-ray machine, his deep brown eyes scanning the crowd like a hawk hunting prey. The navy blue uniform of the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, fits snugly over his sturdy frame, but his face is weathered, with deep crow's feet etched at the corners of his eyes, marks of years spent facing stress and personal pain. His hair is short, flecked with strands of gray, and the TSA badge on his chest gleams under the lights. Once a Border Patrol officer, John learned to read people through their eyes, gestures, and the suspicious silences they carry. But what haunts him most is the memory of Ethan, his younger brother, abducted at a Texas market 20 years ago. The case remains unsolved, and every day John carries the gnawing guilt of failing to protect the person he loved most. Beside John, Rex, a German shepherd with a sleek black and tan coat, sits upright, his ears perked like twin arrows. Rex's dark brown eyes are piercing, constantly shifting, scanning each passenger. Rex is more than a working dog. He's a partner, a loyal friend who has helped John crack dozens of cases over the past 5 years. Rex's nose twitches, analyzing every molecule in the air, from traces of gunpowder to chemical markers of stress. Rex has never been wrong, and John knows it. The stream of passengers through the X-ray machine flows steadily until a group of teenagers disrupts the evening's familiar rhythm. 4 girls and 1 boy, aged 14 to 16, walk in a line, silent as shadows. They wear ordinary clothes, hoodies, jeans, sneakers, but something is off. Their eyes are downcast, their shoulders slumped, as if bound by an invisible chain. Leading them is a middle-aged man, about 45, dressed impeccably in an expensive gray suit. His salt and pepper hair is neatly combed, and the smile on his lips is sharp as a blade, confident but chilling. He holds a stack of passports, handing them to the TSA officer in front of John with an air of casual ease. John watches the group from a distance, a sense of unease rising in his chest. Rex, who had been sitting calmly, suddenly growls, his body tensing like a taut string. His ears perk up, his nose twitches violently, and before John can react, Rex lunges toward the group of teenagers, barking ferociously. His sharp barks echo through the security checkpoint, startling several passengers who turn to look. Rex's target is a girl at the back of the line, about 15 years old, with brown hair tied high and a pale face. She wears an oversized gray hoodie, her hands buried deep in its pockets, her eyes vacant like a canvas wiped clean. "Rex, come," John commands, but his voice betrays his anxiety. He grabs the leash, pulling Rex back, but the dog continues to growl, his claws lightly scraping the floor. The girl panics, stepping back. But what sends a chill down John's spine is that she doesn't scream or resist. She just stands there, her lifeless eyes fixed on the floor, as if fear is something she's grown accustomed to. The middle-aged man turns around, his smile unchanged, but a flicker of wariness flashes in his eyes. "What's this about, buddy?" he asks, his voice low and smooth, yet laced with a subtle threat. "Your dog doesn't seem very friendly." John tightens his grip on the leash, his eyes locking onto the man. "My dog doesn't bark for no reason," he says, his voice steady but sharp. "Where are the kids' papers?" The man shrugs, handing John the stack of passports as if it's no big deal. Here, everything's in order. I'm their guardian, taking them to a summer camp in Las Vegas. Nothing unusual. John flips through the passports, his fingers tracing over the stamps and photos. Something's off. The ink on some pages is slightly faded, and the photos of the teenagers don't quite match their real faces. A small detail, but with John's experience, it's a telltale sign of forgeries. He looks up, staring directly into the man's eyes. What are the kids' names? And who are you? The man smirks, but his gaze is icy. I told you, I'm their guardian. Name's Richard Hayes. As for the kids, they're students. No need to bother them. Right, kids? He turns to the group of teenagers, and they all nod in unison, their movements stiff, like puppets jerked by strings. John feels his blood boil. He wants to detain the group, to dig deeper, but a voice cuts through. John, let them go. It's Carl, his supervisor, a heavy-set man with a flushed face reeking of whiskey. Carl steps forward, placing a hand on John's shoulder, squeezing lightly as a warning. The dog could be wrong. Don't make a scene. The airport's packed. Wrong? John snaps, turning to Carl. Rex doesn't make mistakes. Something's off with this group, Carl. Didn't you see that girl's eyes? Carl frowns, lowering his voice. You want to get suspended for causing trouble? They have papers. Let them go, Carver. That's an order. John clenches his fists, his nails digging into his palms. He knows he can't hold them without clear evidence, but his gut screams that letting this group walk will lead to something terrible. He glances at the girl again. Her eyes seem to plead silently, before she lowers her head and follows the man. Fine, John says, his voice icy. But as the teenagers pass, he deftly slips his hand into the girl's suitcase, planting a tiny tracking chip inside the lining. The device, no bigger than a fingernail, is one he used back in his border patrol days. It'll tell him where they're headed. The middle-aged man, Richard, pauses at the end of the corridor, turning back to face John. His smile now drips with contempt. A piece of advice, buddy, he says, his voice a low murmur. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. You don't want to die young, do you? John doesn't reply, just stares into the man's eyes, his gaze like tempered steel. Rex growls beside him, the fur on his back bristling. Richard smirks, then leads the teenagers into the crowd, vanishing from sight. Once they're gone, John kneels, patting Rex's head. You're right, aren't you, boy? He whispers. We're going to find the truth. A fire ignites in his chest, a mix of anger, suspicion, and memories of Ethan. He knows he's just brushed against a dark secret, and no matter the cost, he won't stop. The Atlanta night is heavy, the humid air clinging to the skin like an invisible film. John Carver sits in his small apartment, the pale blue glow of his laptop screen illuminating his weathered face. The room is sparse, a worn-out sofa, a few faded family photos on a shelf, and a wooden plaque engraved with "Justice Never Sleeps" hanging on the wall, a gift from his old Border Patrol colleagues. Beside him, Rex lies curled up on a rug, eyes half closed but ears still perked, attuned to every faint sound from the window. The distant wail of sirens blends with the patter of rain on the tin roof. On the laptop screen, a digital map pulses, tracking the signal from the chip John planted in the girl's suitcase at the airport. A red dot moves slowly along Interstate 20, heading west. John zooms in, his fingers tracing the highways. Las Vegas, he mutters, his voice low, as if speaking to himself. Where are you guys going? He opens a new tab, accessing the TSA's internal database, a privilege he still holds through old connections. He enters the information from the teenagers' passports, but the result is a blank screen with red text. No data found. John clenches his fist, nails digging into his palm. Those passports weren't just fake. They were products of a sophisticated system designed to erase all traces. A wave of unease surges, and John stands, walking to the fridge to grab a beer. He doesn't drink it, just grips the cold can, letting the chill temper his rising anger. Memories of Ethan flood back like a tidal wave. The 8-year-old boy with a radiant smile and tousled blonde hair, yanked into a white van at a Texas market. John, only 18 at the time, had chased after it, screaming until his voice gave out, but the van vanished into the crowd. The case file noted no witnesses, no cameras, no leads. All that remained was a void in John's heart, a wound that never healed. Rex lifts his head, sniffing, As if sensing his master's unrest, John kneels, rubbing the dog's head. "You know what I'm thinking, don't you?" he says, his voice hoarse. "If they're part of a trafficking ring, if they took Ethan—" He doesn't finish, but his eyes blaze with resolve. The next morning, John arrives at the TSA office earlier than usual, clutching a strong black coffee and sporting dark circles under his eyes from lack of sleep. He heads to the office of Sarah Delgado, an FBI agent he knows from a past case. Sarah, around 35, has her black hair tied back and eyes as sharp as a razor. She's seated behind a desk buried in paperwork, her fingers typing rapidly. When John enters, she looks up, raising an eyebrow. "John, you look like you got run over by a truck. What's going on?" John doesn't beat around the bush. He recounts the airport incident, from the girl's lifeless eyes to Rex's reaction and the smug demeanor of the man calling himself Richard Hayes. He slides his laptop towards Sarah, pointing at the red dot on the map. "They're somewhere near Las Vegas. This isn't random, Sarah. It could be human trafficking." Sarah frowns, pulling the laptop closer. She types a few commands, accessing the FBI's database. After a few minutes, she leans back in her chair, sighing. "You're not wrong, John. Atlanta and Las Vegas are major hubs for human trafficking in the U.S. The FBI estimates about 200,000 children and teens are abducted or lured into prostitution and forced labor rings each year. Las Vegas is a hotspot. Casinos, hotels, and tourist crowds make it the perfect place to hide victims." John's stomach tightens. "That girl, her eyes looked like she'd given up all hope. I can't let this slide." Sarah nods, her gaze softening. "I get it, but you need evidence. Without it, the higher-ups won't greenlight an investigation. What do you have besides the tracker?" John pulls a small USB drive from his pocket and slides it towards Sarah. "Footage from the airport security cameras. I downloaded it before Carl could delete it, and I've got the serial numbers of those fake passports. Can you trace their origin?" Sarah plugs the USB into her computer, skimming through the videos. She pauses on the moment Rex lunges at the girl, zooming in on her face. "You're right," she whispers. "That look, I've seen it in dozens of victims." She turns to John. "I'll send this to the FBI's trafficking unit, but John, be careful. If this is a major ring, they might have eyes inside the system." While waiting for Sarah's response, John can't sit still. Back at his apartment, he pulls out Ethan's old case file, its pages yellowed and edges worn. He flips to the description of the van, white, no license plate, with a long scratch on its side. For a moment, he imagines the man from the airport, Richard Hayes, behind Ethan's abduction. The thought makes his heart pound, but he forces himself to stay calm. "Follow the lead, John," he mutters, "one step at a time." That night, his phone buzzes. It's Sarah. "John, I've got news. Your tracker stopped at an industrial area on the outskirts of Las Vegas, near Sahara Avenue. We checked the location. It's an abandoned warehouse, but there's unusual activity at night. My team's working on a search warrant. Want to come along? I know you're not officially FBI, but Rex could be useful." John doesn't hesitate. "I'll take the earliest flight. Send me the address." He looks down at Rex, lying beside him with gleaming eyes. "Ready, boy?" he asks. Rex snorts, standing up, his tail wagging slightly as if prepared to face any danger. As John packs his bag, he pulls a Glock 19 from a drawer, checks the magazine, and tucks it into a concealed holster under his jacket. He doesn't know what he's walking into, but his gut tells him the warehouse in Las Vegas isn't just a pit stop. It's a gateway to a dark world where kids like the girl at the airport, and maybe Ethan, are trapped. He clenches his fist, his eyes blazing. "You won't get away," he whispers like a vow. The Nevada desert, just outside Las Vegas, is a harsh land where silver moonlight bathes barren dunes and thorny cacti. Tonight, the air is heavy, carrying the scent of dust and metal. The abandoned warehouse stands alone in the desolate field, a gray steel structure with peeling walls and shattered windows. From a distance, it resembles a stranded ship, but the dim light seeping through its cracks reveals that within, the darkness conceals horrific secrets. John Carver sits in the FBI's black SUV, parked about 500 meters from the warehouse. His TSA uniform has been replaced with a bulletproof vest and black cargo pants, his Glock 19 secured in a hip holster. His eyes scan a tablet screen displaying footage from a reconnaissance drone. Several figures moving inside the warehouse, along with stacked containers in the back lot. His heart pounds, not from fear, but from a gut feeling that the girl from the airport, and perhaps dozens of other children, are somewhere in that darkness. Beside him, Rex sits upright, his black and tan coat glinting under the faint dashboard light. The dog wears a small tactical vest with a mounted action camera. Rex's nose twitches, ears perked, ready for action. John rubs his head, whispering, "You're my ace, Rex. Don't let me down." Rex responds with a low growl, as if fully aware of the mission. Sarah Delgado, the FBI task force leader, sits in the front, checking her comms. "All right, John," she says, her voice sharp but tinged with tension. "The drone spotted at least 6 armed hostiles inside, maybe more. There are 3 containers in the back. We suspect victims are held there. Your and Rex's job is to support the assault team, locate the victims, and ensure no one escapes. Clear?" John nods, his eyes fixed on the warehouse. "Clear. But Sarah, if that girl from the airport is there, I want to get her out first." Sarah frowns but nods. "Fine. But don't let emotions take over. We're dealing with a major operation, not small-time smugglers." John's earpiece crackles with the commander's voice. "Alpha team, prepare to breach. 3, 2, 1, go." The warehouse's steel door flies open under the force of a battering ram. The FBI assault team, clad in bulletproof vests and tactical helmets, storms in like a whirlwind, flashlight beams from their rifles slicing through the darkness. Shouts ring out, punctuated by the sharp crack of gunfire. John and Rex follow the vanguard, moving swiftly but cautiously. Inside, the air is stifling, a haunting mix of sweat, chemicals, and fear. Towering steel racks laden with crates form a metallic maze. Flickering fluorescent bulbs dangle from the ceiling, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Rex growls, sniffing the air, leading John toward a narrow corridor. At its end is a locked steel door. John signals Rex to stop and inspects the door. No handle, just an electronic lock. He pulls a small lock-picking device from his pocket, a relic from his border patrol days, and plugs it in. The screen flashes and the lock clicks open with a soft snap. John pushes the door, stepping inside, gun raised. The sight within freezes his blood. A large container, its door ajar, reveals dozens of teenagers crammed into the cramped space. They huddle on the floor, their limbs gaunt, faces pale, eyes vacant. Some are bound, others bear needle marks on their arms, signs of sedatives. The stench of sweat and urine is overwhelming, forcing John to hold his breath. In the corner, he spots the girl from the airport, still in her gray hoodie, arms wrapped tightly around her knees, staring into nothingness. "Kid," John calls softly, kneeling before her. "I'm John. I'm here to get you out." She looks up, her eyes flickering between fear and hope, but she says nothing. Suddenly, gunfire erupts from behind. A criminal in a black leather jacket and a baseball cap bursts from the shadows, clutching an AK-47. He shouts something in Spanish, the barrel aimed at John, but Rex is faster. The dog launches like an arrow, his sharp teeth sinking into the man's wrist, forcing the rifle to clatter to the floor. The man screams, swinging at Rex, but John is already moving. He leaps forward, landing a hard punch to the man's jaw, dropping him cold. "Good boy, Rex!" John shouts, but then he notices blood seeping from Rex's hind leg. A stray bullet hit the dog in the chaos. Rex limps but still growls, eyes blazing with determination. John's heart clenches, but there's no time to hesitate. He scoops up the airport girl, gesturing to the other teens. "Follow me, hurry!" He leads them to the back lot, where the FBI team is subduing the remaining criminals. 3 men are handcuffed, kneeling on the ground, their eyes burning with hatred. Sarah rushes over, checking the victims' conditions. "Great work, John," she says, her voice taut. "We've rescued 12 kids, but there are more containers, and these guys aren't working alone." John kneels beside Rex, inspecting the wound. Fortunately, the bullet only grazed muscle, missing bone. He rubs the dog's head, whispering, "You're tough, buddy. Take a breather." Rex licks his hand, as if to say he's still ready to fight. Amid the chaos, John searches a captured criminal's pockets and finds a small, unmarked black USB drive. Instinct tells him it's key. He plugs it into the FBI team's tablet, and what appears sends a chill through him. A list of over 300 victims with detailed information, names, ages, genders, and market values. Some names are marked sold, others pending. John scrolls down, heart pounding, and then he sees it. Ethan Carver, 8 years old, processed, 2005. His brother's name, like a knife to the heart. John grips the tablet, blood rushing to his head. Eclipse Network, he mutters, reading the organization's name in the file. Who are they, and what did they do to Ethan? Sarah places a hand on his shoulder. John, we'll find out. But right now, you need to focus. These kids need you. John nods, but his eyes have changed. They're no longer those of a TSA officer or a former cop. They're the eyes of a man ready to burn the world down for justice, for the girl, for the victims, and for Ethan. The early morning in Las Vegas bathes the glittering skyscrapers in sunlight, but it can't dispel the icy chill in John Carver's heart. He sits in the FBI's temporary meeting room in a rented office near downtown, the air thick with the smell of stale coffee and printer ink. On the table, the black USB lies silently, like an unexploded bomb, containing the list of 300 victims and the name Ethan Carver seared into John's mind. Across from him, Sarah Delgado flips through reports, her face tense, her eyes betraying exhaustion from last night's raid. Rex lies on the floor, his hind leg bandaged, but his head is raised, his dark brown eyes scanning the room like a loyal sentinel. John taps his fingers on the table, a steady but restless rhythm. Sarah, the list on the USB is hard evidence. Eclipse Network isn't just a trafficking ring, it's a massive organization. We need to trace it now. The other names, the other kids, they could still be out there, locked up. Sarah stops flipping through the reports and sighs. I agree, John, but there's a problem. She slides a document toward him, the FBI's bright red seal glaring on the header. An order to halt the investigation, effective this morning. Reason? Insufficient verified evidence to expand the scope of the investigation. John blinks as if he can't believe his ears. Insufficient evidence? He nearly shouts, his voice echoing in the small room. We have a victim list, statements from the arrested suspect, 12 kids we just rescued. What more do they want? A notarized confession? Sarah raises a hand, signaling him to calm down. John, listen. This order came from high up, very high. Someone in Las Vegas, or even Washington, doesn't want us digging deeper. Eclipse Network might have ties to powerful people, politicians, businessmen, local police, anyone. I've seen cases like this before. If we push without backing, the whole team will get crushed. John clenches his fists, his nails digging into his palms until they draw blood. He thinks of the girl from the airport, now in a shelter, her haunted eyes still lingering in his mind. He thinks of Ethan, the name on the list marked processed. They can't stop us, he growls. Not now, when we're this close. Sarah looks at him, her eyes a mix of concern and empathy. John, I'll try to find a way, but you need to be careful. If Eclipse Network has eyes in the system, they already know who you are. Back at his temporary hotel, a low-rise building with corridors reeking of old cigarette smoke, John feels unease trailing his every step. He checks his room, draws the curtains, and sits on the bed, opening his laptop. Rex lies beside him, sniffing, as if sensing danger too. John plugs in the USB, scrolling through the victim list, searching for any clue about Eclipse Network. But when he opens an encrypted file, the laptop screen flickers and goes black. A red message appears. Access denied. IP address tracked. John flinches, yanking the USB out. His heart races. Someone had planted malware in his system, and they know he's digging. He stands, checks the door, then pulls a small signal scanner from his bag. When he activates it, the device beeps frantically. A listening device, the size of a coin, is hidden under the desk. John crushes it with his heel, fury igniting like a wildfire. You think you can play me like that? He mutters. He calls Sarah, his voice urgent. Sarah, my room's bugged. My system access is locked out. Someone's trying to shut us down. There's a pause on the other end before Sarah speaks, her voice low. John, get out of the hotel now. Don't use your phone anymore. Meet me at the coffee shop on Fremont Street in 2 hours. The coffee shop on Fremont Street is a small, cozy spot with warm yellow lighting and the faint aroma of toasted bread. John sits in a shadowed corner, a baseball cap pulled low, Rex lying under the table, eyes vigilant. Sarah enters, wearing a hoodie to conceal her identity, and sits across from him. She slides a brown envelope toward him. "This is everything I could grab before the system locked me out," she says. "Transaction records from a front company in Nevada tied to Eclipse Network. But John, I can't go further. They're watching me too." John opens the envelope, scanning the documents. Massive sums, millions of dollars, funneled through offshore accounts, masked under real estate and tech company names. One name recurs: Vincent Cole, a prominent Las Vegas businessman, owner of a chain of hotels and casinos. John grips the paper, his eyes blazing. "Who is he, Sarah?" Sarah lowers her voice. "Cole's a big fish. He's connected to the mayor, the police chief, even some senators. If he's involved with Eclipse Network, we're up against an entire system." Just then, John's burner phone vibrates. An unknown number. He frowns, answering. A woman's voice, trembling but resolute, comes through. "John Carver, I'm Maya. I was a victim of Eclipse Network. I know what you're looking for. Don't trust anyone, not even the FBI. They have moles." John's blood surges. "Who are you? How do you know me?" "No time," Maya says urgently. "Check your email. I sent you an access code to Eclipse Network's server in the Nevada desert, but you have to move fast before they wipe the data." The line goes dead, leaving John in stifling silence. He opens the email on his burner phone, and sure enough, an encrypted file is there, along with an address for a facility in the Nevada desert, 50 miles from Las Vegas. John looks at Sarah, his eyes no longer those of someone seeking permission. "Sarah, I'm going, with or without the FBI." Sarah sighs but nods. "I'll cover for you from here, but John, if you go, there's no turning back. You'll be a target." John kneels, rubbing Rex's head. "Hear that, boy? We're about to play a big game." Rex snorts, standing despite his sore hind leg. The dog meets his gaze, eyes gleaming, as if ready to face hell itself. John rises, tucking the envelope into his jacket. Outside, Las Vegas glitters with neon lights, but he knows that beneath its glamorous facade, a criminal network is strangling hundreds of lives. He's not just fighting for the girl, for Ethan, or for justice. He's fighting for himself, for the man who swore to never let darkness win. The Nevada desert at midnight is an alien world, eerily silent except for the wind whistling through rocks and the faint chirping of insects. The pitch-black sky, dotted with a few twinkling stars, offers no light to the hidden Eclipse Network facility, tucked deep in a canyon 50 miles from Las Vegas. From a distance, the building looks like a tech research station, with gray concrete walls and a gleaming steel roof, but the razor wire fences and dense surveillance cameras reveal it's no place for scientists. John Carver lies prone on a rise 200 meters from the target, his body pressed to the ground, eyes narrowed through infrared binoculars. He's clad in black camouflage, his Glock 19 secure in its holster, a combat knife tucked in his boot. Beside him, Rex, despite his bandaged hind leg, lies still, his black and tan coat blending into the darkness. The dog's tactical vest, equipped with a mounted action camera, streams live footage to John's tablet. Rex's nose twitches, ears perked, as if already sensing danger in the air. In his earpiece, the voice of an off-the-books tech, contacted secretly by Sarah, crackles. "Carver, Maya's access code breached level 1 security. You've got 15 minutes before the server detects the intrusion. The east side door is your best entry. Watch out, 4 guards on patrol." John nods, though no one can see. "Got it. Ready, Rex?" He rubs the dog's head, feeling its loyalty through its blazing eyes. Rex growls softly, standing, ready to dive into danger with his master. They move swiftly but cautiously, using shadows and rocks for cover. Rex leads, nose sniffing, guiding John along a narrow path. At the east side door, John scans the access code from his burner phone. The steel door clicks open with a soft snap, revealing a pitch-black hallway lit only by faint red emergency lights on the ceiling. The air inside is cold, carrying the scent of machine oil and chemicals, like a factory of death. John and Rex slip inside, moving like ghosts. The hallway leads to a spiral steel staircase descending to the basement. John's tablet displays a rough facility map sent by Maya with the code. The main control room, housing all of Eclipse Network's data, is at the end of the basement. But as he steps onto the lower level, heavy footsteps echo behind. A guard, tall in body armor, clutching a rifle, appears at the corridor's corner. John signals Rex to stay, pressing himself against the wall, holding his breath. The guard approaches, his rifle's flashlight beam sweeping the hallway. When he's just meters away, Rex springs. The dog launches like an arrow, teeth sinking into the guard's thigh, sending him crashing with a scream. John leaps forward, slamming a fist into the man's temple, knocking him out cold. He drags the body into a shadowed corner, heart pounding. "Good boy, Rex," he whispers, checking the dog's camera feed. The footage is still clear. They press deeper, reaching a massive steel door with a digital panel. John inputs the access code, and the door slides open, revealing a sprawling control room bathed in the blue glow of dozens of wall-mounted monitors. The screens display surveillance feeds from across the US. Cramped rooms packed with teenagers, illegal sweatshops, and high-end brothels. The largest central monitor shows a girl, none other than the airport girl, locked in a lavish room, her lifeless eyes staring into nothing. John's blood boils. He plugs the USB into the main server, initiating a data download. Victim lists, financial transactions, and identities behind Eclipse network. But at 60% completion, a low, cold voice cuts through from behind. "I'd stop if I were you, Carver." John spins, gun raised. Standing at the door is Vincent Cole, the wealthy businessman Sarah mentioned. Around 50 with neatly combed salt and pepper hair, he wears an expensive navy suit, his smile sharp as a blade. Flanking him are two hulking bodyguards, handguns drawn. Cole crosses his arms, eyes glinting with confidence. "Impressive, Carver. A TSA agent sneaking into my lair, but you've gone too far." John tightens his grip on the gun, eyes locked on Cole. "Too far? You're buying and selling hundreds of kids, torturing them. The airport girl, the victims on the list. You think you can get away forever?" Cole smirks, stepping closer despite John's gun. "Get away? We've been operating for over 30 years, Carver. Mayors, police chiefs, senators, they all take my money. Who do you think you are? A white knight? The world doesn't need heroes. It needs order, and I provide that." He tilts his head, a seductive glint in his eyes. "Join me, Carver. You're smart, fearless. I can give you everything." John spits on the floor. "Shut up. I'm here to end you." Cole shrugs, signaling his guards. "Pity? Kill him." But Rex is faster. Despite his injured leg, the dog lunges, teeth sinking into the first guard's wrist, disarming him. John fires rapidly, dropping the second guard before he can aim. Cole pulls a pistol from his suit, but John's quicker, tackling him with a brutal punch to the face. Cole collapses, blood streaming from his nose, but still smirks. "You can't win, Carver. Eclipse Network is bigger than me, bigger than you can imagine." John pins Cole to the floor, cuffing him with zip ties taken from a guard. "You'll talk, Cole. Everything." He turns to the server, seeing the download complete. But just then, alarms blare, red lights flashing across the room. The security system has detected the breach. John scoops up Rex, checking a new graze on the dog's shoulder from a guard's bullet. "You're tough, buddy," he whispers, voice catching. He pockets the USB, yanks Cole to his feet, and bolts for the hallway. Heavy footsteps thunder from the stairs. More guards are coming. At the exit, Sarah's FBI task force bursts through the door. Gunfire erupts, but John and Rex carve a bloody path, dragging Cole to the back lot. An FBI helicopter lands, kicking up a blinding sandstorm. Sarah shouts, "John, get on the chopper." "We've got the data. We've got Cole. Let's go." John shoves Cole onto the helicopter, cradling Rex in his arms. The dog breathes heavily, but licks his hand, eyes shining with loyalty. As the chopper lifts off, John looks down at the facility, engulfed in smoke and fire. A mix of triumph and pain washing over him. He's broken a major link in Eclipse Network and saved dozens of victims, but the name Ethan Carver, processed, haunts him like a shadow. Sarah places a hand on his shoulder. "You did it, John. We'll take them down, one by one." John nods, but his gaze is distant. He knows this battle isn't over. No, it's only just begun. Dawn spreads golden-orange rays across the Las Vegas horizon, gilding the skyscrapers and streets still tinged with the acrid scent of last night's chaos. In a veterinary hospital near downtown, John Carver sits on a hard plastic bench, hands clasped tightly, eyes fixed on the operating room door. His camouflage gear is still caked with desert dust, reeking of sweat and gunpowder, but he doesn't care. All he sees is Rex, his loyal German shepherd, being treated after emergency surgery. The wounds on Rex's shoulder and hind leg were worse than John thought, but the vet promised, he's a fighter, he'll pull through. Outside the hospital, the city is abuzz. The raid on Eclipse Networks facility has hit every front page. Headlines scream, America's largest human trafficking ring dismantled. Images of Vincent Cole, hair disheveled, handcuffed, and led to a police car, flood every news channel. The FBI announced the rescue of 20 victims from the Nevada facility, plus the 12 children from the earlier warehouse. The data from John's USB revealed hundreds of transactions, linking Eclipse Network to corrupt officials in Las Vegas, Washington, and even abroad. A purge is underway, with dozens of officials summoned for investigation. But John doesn't feel like a hero. He sits in the cold hospital hallway, clutching a crumpled printout of the victim list from the USB. The line, Ethan Carver, processed 2005, cuts into his heart like a blade. 20 years, and he still doesn't know what happened to his brother. Is Ethan alive, trapped somewhere in the criminal web? Or does processed mean the worst? The question haunts him, a shadow in every dream and every day. The operating room door opens. The veterinarian, a middle-aged woman with neatly tied silver hair, steps out smiling. Rex is okay, Mr. Carver. He lost a lot of blood, but his heart's strong. With a few weeks of rest, he'll be running again. John exhales as if a boulder has been lifted from his chest. He stands, entering the recovery room where Rex lies on a table, his black and tan coat gleaming under the lights. The dog weakly raises his head, licking John's hand, his dark brown eyes shining as if to say, "We did it, didn't we?" John kneels, cradling Rex's head, whispering, "You're my hero, buddy. Thank you." A single tear rolls down his cheek, the first in years. That afternoon, John returns to the FBI's temporary headquarters, where Sarah Delgado is addressing the media. The girl from the airport, now identified as Lily, 15, has reunited with her family in Georgia. Images of Lily embracing her mother, tears streaming down their faces, are broadcast worldwide, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. But John refuses to stand before the cameras. When Sarah suggests he accept a Medal of Honor, he shakes his head. "I didn't do this for recognition," he says, his voice low. "I did it for kids like Lily, like Ethan." Sarah looks at him, her eyes filled with respect. "You've changed everything, John. Eclipse Network is crumbling, Cole's talking, and we're tracking down their other branches. You should be proud. Not everyone would dare take on an entire system." John shrugs, his gaze distant. "The system hasn't fully collapsed, Sarah, and I still don't have answers about Ethan." That night, in a new hotel room, John receives a message from an unknown number. No text, just an attachment. A crude hand-drawn sketch sent by a victim who recently escaped a facility near the Mexican border. The drawing depicts a man with short hair, wearing a leather jacket, with a large eagle tattoo on his neck. Below, scrawled words read, "He's the leader. He's still out there." John stares at the sketch, his heart pounding. The eagle tattoo, a small detail, but it stirs a faint memory from Ethan's disappearance. A witness, now deceased, once mentioned a man with a similar tattoo near the Texas market in 2005. Could this be the clue John has been chasing for 20 years? Could this man be the mastermind, above even Vincent Cole? He opens his suitcase, pulling out his Glock 19 and checking the magazine. Rex, now back in the room, lies on a rug, lifting his head to watch. The dog received an Animal Service Medal of Honor this morning, but his eyes still burn with readiness for a new mission. John smiles, rubbing Rex's head. "Rest up, buddy, but I'm afraid we're not done yet." Outside, Las Vegas glows with neon lights, but John knows that beneath its glamorous veneer, darkness still lurks. Human trafficking, with thousands of children and teens exploited each year, remains a stain that can't be fully erased. Yet John and Rex's story is a beacon, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, resolve and loyalty can ignite hope. He stands gazing out the window, his eyes fixed south toward the Mexican border, shrouded in night. The man with the eagle tattoo is out there, and perhaps the truth about Ethan is too. John clenches his fist, a silent vow echoing in his mind. "I'll find you, even if it takes my whole life."